buddy. All right, everybody, thank you for bearing with me. I wanted to wait a few minutes so that anybody who wasn't able to join could still join. And it sounds like my microphone is working great, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for participating. It's been an interesting few weeks, so that's why my son decided he was going to start. So today, our BizzyWebinar is going to be about how to say anything, creating a great content strategy framework so that you can be exciting to your customers and your prospects, but also to Google as well. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, we are a full-service growth marketing agency based in Minneapolis. We are specialists in digital marketing, lead generation, content optimization, and inbound marketing. We are a Grow with Google high impact partner. We are a multi-year Constant Contact All-Star Award winner, and we are a platinum partner agency with HubSpot. So we been doing this this is our 20th year, and we love all of our clients, and we're always glad and fun. These seminars that we get to do are always so much fun. So just as a matter of housekeeping before we get started, if you do have a question that you'd like to ask me in real time, I will be monitoring the chat pane. So I will be able to hopefully stop what I'm talking about and get your questions answered. But if you are listening to this in a rehash, then by all means, please continue to reach out to me, and you'll see my contact information at the end of the show here today. So, all right, thanks everybody again for joining, and let's get started. Here, we have been putting on just a few snippets of our team, but because we have a deep bench, I wanted to make sure that everyone got recognized for being part of the team, and I think we're a good 15, 16 people strong now. So what are we doing here today? Ultimately, what I hope the goal for everyone joining to do is to learn a framework to create a great content strategy that both the humans in your life and search engines will love. Those are always a challenge to try and work that tightrope, but I know that it's something that certainly can be done, and certainly things that we can work on together. So here's how I'm going to break this down today. First of all, we're going to talk about SEO, and because that's usually the 800-pound gorilla in any digital marketing room, and how did we get here, and kind of explain why content is so important based on how search engines have evolved. Second, we'll talk about how to plan content. Third, how to create clusters and topic pages for not only for your marketing, but for your digital marketing as well. And then finally, how to reverse engineer good content. And unfortunately, this month, there really wasn't a whole lot of iconic photography from Say Anything. So you're probably going to see John Cusack more than once today. So this is a good visual representation of why this is important, is because everything is connected to everything else. This isn't just a fancy graphic. It shows the honeycomb effect, which is that every single thing from one thing to the next has to be interconnected. And so as we're trying to plan out how do we really grow our businesses, it's important to recognize that what we're going to be talking about today is the content strategies, but content does affect and permeate everything else. And how content gets used is going to be important and relatable all throughout a number of different facets of creating great marketing. So, as I said, today we're going to be talking about intent of search and creating that content strategy that both search humans and search engines will love. So let's start with an overview of content creation. Really, the question that I wanted to start with is, how have search engines evolved? You used to see a long time ago that the concept of SEO was crucially important, which it still is, but you would find that if people just spent money on SEO, they'd make a whole lot of money and get a whole lot of clients. And that was really the land rush of digital marketing in the early teens, so 2010, 2011. But since then, Google has continually evolved their process and continually evolved how they are evaluating websites in order to answer the question that people ask. So I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about how a search engine started and then where they've sort of ended up. So Google, and I say Google when I'm really talking about just all search engines for the most part, they are forced to better organize and showcase content in a new way because they're always trying to get better to answer the question, what is actually helpful to the searcher? So there's been a number of different massive updates over the years for SEO and for search algorithms, and I've listed a couple of them here. There's the Penguin update, the Hummingbird update, the Mobilegeddon update, where if you weren't a responsive site, you wouldn't get ranked on mobile. And then there's more that goes along with that. The first that was really the big shakeup, it was in 2013. It was the Hummingbird algorithm. And that update really focused on parsing out phrases and then rather than focusing on specific search queries. So SEO people were forced to go from specific words that they were using to a more grounded phraseology as part of their content strategy. And then the next one happened in 2015, and Google went to what they call RankBrain, and that was their machine learning artificial intelligence system. So based on how it was used, it was always continually supposedly getting better and better. And then in 2019, last year, Google made its biggest change ever, which was BERT. And BERT stands for Bidirectional Encoder Representations from Transformers, which is a fancy way of saying it focuses on the context of a search instead of the exact keyword. So the idea is that it makes search more conversational. So for instance, if you were looking for a great Italian restaurant and you were searching for the word spaghetti, Google would want to analyze the context of that individual phrase by providing you with some other context, things like red wine, things like gingham tablecloths, anything like that, that sort of evocative of an Italian restaurant, that it would really hit where it was supposed to be at that point. So the good news is all of this change continually brings opportunity for content marketers to be found. The downside is that you continually have to change and re-evolve your content strategies over and over and over again, but it does mean that content, no matter what the SEO strategy happens, the content absolutely has to be the forefront of what you're doing. And I wanted to include this early because this is an important part of, as we're talking about humans as well as search engines, because that's the search engine is certainly one part of it, but we can't just write for a search engine. You'll see this is really a good illustration of what a potential buyer's journey is going to be. So anybody who's really taking or evaluating whether or not they need to purchase from you or how they need to purchase, they're really taking a number of different steps. And I've listed them out here. And you can see as the zigzag line goes back and forth, the one common thing that goes through and permeates all of those dots through the buyer's journey is good content. The interesting thing to keep in mind is that the content changes from when somebody's in the awareness stage to when they're in the retention stage, which means that content becomes even more important. So what we'd like to encourage people to do is think of content like a series of pillars. So that's really a stabilizing foundation on how you're going to create a content strategy. And the way you do that is you sort of back out into what are the things that you're really good at and what are the things that you really want people to know. And then that you should make a list of those things. And as you do, those should help you to create your content pillar strategies from there. So what exactly is a content pillar and why is that relevant? Well, it's a page on your website that covers a broad topic, which ostensibly is something that you should be good at or things that you really want somebody to know. And it's then linked to a cluster of related content. And so I'll show you what a cluster of related content means as we move forward a little. So if we have like a specific type of topic cluster, so let's say something is as broad as sales qualification. So that's really our core topic, and that's the one thing that everything sort of spins around. So what we ideally want to do is, as we have a topic, a core topic of qualifying new sales leads, then there are a lot of different things that we can include in that, things like qualification, things like BANT, things like disqualification, what is a qualified prospect. Those are all subtopics that we can include as links to other things. So as you can see here, really, if I'm doing a full page on selling a sales qualification system, I've actually got 7 full pages of work, all of which is leading back to the overall idea of sales qualification. So you can see here is if we started in sales qualification and then the subtopics, what I really want to do is connect them together so that we can have a buyer who's going through not just an SEO person, but a real buyer who really is coming to us and looking for evaluative purposes to see if we're really a good fit for them. They want to be educated, and they want to be find the information that they're looking for. And so the easiest way to do that is to make sure that the core topic does have subtopics and shows a good mastery of everything that you're trying to share with. In addition to that, it does show the benefit of being a thought leadership as well. So let's back this out and look at it from a Google standpoint. So let's say we just put into Google something as simple as sales qualification. So okay, we get this page, and this is a HubSpot page of the ultimate guide to sales qualification. So okay, great. This is clearly going to be a very long page, and if you're like me and you wake up, you think, man, I don't really want to read really long pages, so I'm not really going to do that. So instead, what we want to do is start by actually easily navigating the page's content. So in this particular instance, you can see that all of those 7 spots are all subtopics to the main topic. And if I'm only interested in the one thing, I can click on that. But ultimately, what I want to do is let my visitor be able to make their own decisions throughout their buyer's journey. So now if we get into something simple, which is something more specific like BANT, you can see it automatically takes you, when you click on it, the relevant link, it automatically takes you into what exactly does BANT mean. And BANT is really just a sales qualification mantra that stands for budget, authority, need, and timeline. And it's a pretty standard thing. But you can see even within that, there are even more sublinks. So the main topic gives us sales qualification. The subtopic is what exactly is BANT, and even the subtopic even gets into more detail. Ultimately, what you really would like to see happen is to have all of these informations and all of these spins of content be on your website, or at least on a page that you have some control over, and then you can measure how long people are staying on there and reading there. That's why I wanted to make sure that we started by saying, make sure that all your content is focused on the things that you really want and the things that you do. And the easiest way to do that is actually by sitting down and writing down, what are the things that people really want to hear from us? So how do you create a pillar page? There are 2 types of pillar pages. First is a resource pillar page. That's something that's really heavy on external links. And it's more of a reference page. So it's something that you bookmark and come back to, and you always have sort of the access to see different things based on that one page. The other type of page is a content pillar page, and that is a lot of the owned media and the things that you have. It's a deep dive on that core topic. The format is similar to an ebook, but it's ungated. So an ebook is something where you would be wanting to offer somebody a particular grouping or cluster of content in a book form in exchange for a contact piece. So like, I will give you an ebook if you give me your email address, kind of thing. So there's two types of pillar pages. And so to choose from, the benefits of ungating your content, at least on the front end, is number one, it does help with SEO. It does help you gain a fair amount of organic traffic. It should increase in a quality conversion rate, because the more people come to you and find the resources that they want, then they're really finding the solution they want from you. And that's the third, is that it really does help solve for the person visiting your page. So it does give you the benefit of really making both search engines and your individual user happy at the same time. So ungating content does offer a solution for the human experience, because people do want to try something out before making a decision on its value. And I think we've all sort of gotten to the point now where we're a little frustrated with an offer that doesn't give us what we want unless we give them a massive amount of information. To be clear, gating content still is a good strategy and has a significant amount of viability to it, but the way in which you do it is by asking little steps. You never, in the list of qualifications that I have for a client here at BizzyWeb, is pretty extensive, but the marketing team doesn't ask all of those questions on the first content. They might ask a couple of easy questions, like, can you tell us your name, and can you give us a way to contact us? And in exchange for that, then we give you this piece of information. So anyway, there is a benefit to ungating the content. What I would recommend is that you have a mix of both. So in order to create great, effective content, first we really need to determine, why are we creating content in the first place? Ultimately, the reason that why we're going to be creating content in the first place is because the internet has basically made the world flat from an informational standpoint. There are a lot of people who do what you do, but they don't offer the way in which you do it and the relationship and the experience that you can give. So Simon Sinek is famous for saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that's really one of the differentiating values that you have as a small business owner, is to really focus on how you do it and the experience you give it. And that's really what you need to be writing your content around. So the first thing that we recommend is creating a content mission statement. It helps really determine your business why. And what a why is why do you really do what you do? Why are you getting into what you're getting into? What is the purpose of it? I mean, ultimately, yeah, sure, we're all just trying to make money, but there's a reason why you started your business, and there's a passion there. So what is that passion? And then how can you take it into the next level, which is buyer personas? And then, once you define a buyer's persona, that's really the ultimate person that you're trying to sell to, really an ideal customer. And what we do for our clients at BizzyWeb is we actually write down a fictionalized representation of what that person looks like, who they are, what their marital status is, do they have any kids, what is their job, what is their frustrations, what are their goals, what are the ways in which they ingest content, maybe even a disc personality inventory if we can. Because then that helps us understand the buyer's journey, which is, again, that zigzag line throughout the buying stages of what is the person that we are most wanting to talk to and most wanting to evaluate, goes in and out and in and out. And so how do we then create the content for that? So your content mission statement understands what purpose your content serves and how it relates to the need of your intended audience. Again, that boils down into that why statement that we talked about before. Why are we doing the thing that we're doing, and how is it going to be relevant for the people that we're going to be wanting to sell to? So now that we've done that, let's talk about how to create a framework for planning content. This is a great time for me to take a little break and remind those of you who are doing this live that you do have the opportunity to ask me any questions in the chat pane. And the way you access the chat pane is if you scroll to the bottom of your screen, and you should see a opportunity for chat. And it looks like, other than Jennifer and Linus passing back knock-knock jokes at the beginning of the show, nobody's asked a question yet. So that's great. We'll keep going, but feel free and add a question if you've got one. So frameworks for planning your content. Why do you need to plan the content? Well, oh, good. Steve Bob from Illinois says he's learning lots. Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. It's always great to see you. So why do you need to plan the content? Well, for the first part, the first part, it's always a drag to wake up in the morning and think, oh gosh, what do I have to write today? What do I have to communicate today? For second, though, it's always important to actually have a plan of how you're going to be operating your marketing. And it really should run at least a month ahead of where you currently are on the calendar. So Jennifer, that's a great question. I'd be more than happy to provide you with a content mission statement after the show today. So thanks for asking that question. So planning your content gives you the opportunity to have a focus on your messaging, at least moving forward for the next month. So it gives your content a roadmap. It does identify potential opportunities or roadblocks. You know, for instance, since we're all at home now, all content really has been changed in the last 2 weeks, because anybody who has been focused on meeting people or trade show content, well, that's really kind of gone out the window. So it has to have been changed. It does create business alignment. So it does hopefully help lead to more sales opportunities and more sales leads. And it does connect the short-term content tasks to long-term content goals, which is really the purpose of any marketing effort, is to really have a long-term goal of which the tactic of content leads into good value. So a lot of good reasons to plan content, but the one thing that I find is the most helpful is you never have to wake up and think, oh man, what do I have to write down today? Or how do I have to communicate? So planning ahead is really has a number of great value to it. So when you do plan ahead, it does help align your content mission statement with the people you're trying to attract, which gets into the buyer's personas. A great example of buyer's personas, I've done webinars on this before, and if you have some questions about it, I'd be more than happy to do a much deeper dive with you, and you can feel free and reach out to me after the fact. I don't have as much time to get into it today, but it's incredibly helpful as you're planning your marketing. So the buyer's persona is different than the buyer's journey. As I said earlier, it's the semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer, and that's based on some qualitative and quantitative analysis. Really, who is the best, not only from a happiness perspective, who's the people you really like to work with, but also who actually rings the cash register as much for you. So here's an example of one that we did at BizzyWeb. As you can see, it hits a number of different goals. So the background, what exactly they do, in this case, potentially VP of marketing, their demographic, how old they are, what are some identifiers of their personality, what are their goals, what do they really want out of working with you, and then what are some of the challenges that they have, and what are some of the reasons that they would have and the frustrations that they might be trying to solve by potentially looking at a vendor like you. Buyer's journey, again, that's a little different. That's the preset, the active process people go through leading up to making a purchase, and it's a massive zigzag line. So, but I did want to break it down a little closer. So if we can roll it up a little into a couple of different things. Number one, the awareness stage. 2, the consideration stage, and 3, the decision stage. So the awareness stage I have a problem. I don't necessarily know what that problem is. I might be wrong in actually identifying the problem, but something is rotten in Denmark. Then I want to say, okay, I'm going to start looking for solutions, and I might even be presented with a solution, or I might have a couple of different solutions available to me. And then third, the decision is, I have decided I'm going to go in this direction and do this one thing. So I'm going to stop a second. The folks at Interfaith Outreach Partners asked, is the PowerPoint you're showing in the video going to be available to us? The answer is yes. But feel free and take notes along well. If there's something you want me to go back on, I'd be more than happy to. So this is kind of what the buyer's journey looks like. So let's actually look at it through like a customer service manager's buyer's journey. So the awareness stage is she has a lot of unstructured data and needs to make sense of it. So the solution that she might have is that there's an automated solution to categorize contents and detect emotion in real time in multiple languages. So her decision is to get a free consultation of her business's customer feedback data. And so notice that in this, there's a key word there, which is free. She hasn't actually made a full decision yet. Or a paid decision yet. She's making small things. So if you think about the gap between somebody doesn't know me and here's some money, there's a lot of different sales that go into that. And one of the sales is the company that I'm dealing with able to make the solution happen that I really want. And sometimes people offer free consultations in order to do that. And this really gets into conceptually what we like to call at BizzyWeb the flywheel. And instead of thinking about your sales funnel as a funnel, really, what we like to do is actually wrap it around the edge and put your customers in the center and say that how you attract people in your sales process is just as important as how you engage them and how you provide the service or product that you offer, which is just as important as how happy they are after the fact and how happy they are to tell other people about your relationship. And as you can see, that all of this does involve getting some pretty decent content. So third, the buyer's journey, as we talked about before, you're creating your content, make sure that all of the planning materials that you are trying to use are aligned so that your buyer persona does match your buyer's journey and you're actually able to map that out to a great extent. Okay, third, how do we create a topic cluster and a pillar page? I'll lead you through some examples of that, but ultimately what I like to do is talk about reverse engineering and say, if we're really trying to look ahead, it pays to look backwards and ask the question, how did that ideal customer come to us and what did they need to see in order to make the decision that they did? So let's take an example here. So go ahead and read this sentence to yourself. So you can answer if you'd like, but if you don't, that's okay too. How many of you actually skipped the second the? And there it is. Yeah. And that's because you are trying to, your mind tends to skip over little things like that until it's pointed out to you. When it's pointed out to you, then immediately, oh, Don's he's a proofreading nut. Don't skip things. Absolutely. Thank you, Don. It's absolutely important to make sure that your content doesn't skip anything, but also make sure that it is providing the relevant value. Because you might get away with one thing that's missing, but if it's consistently bad, then that's not good. So for reverse engineering our content, really what we want to do is recycle the series of planned content initiatives. So if we have a list of maybe like 5 things. So let's say we've got a core topic where we've identified a core topic cluster. And a really great example to start with is this is the frequently asked questions that you have in your business. What are the things that you get asked all the time? And those are core topics. And then how do you break those down into topic clusters? So then create needed blog posts for those topic clusters. So you might have 5 or 10 blog posts on a topic cluster. And then fourth, you actually repurpose that content into a downloadable offer. You can basically roll up a core topic into an ebook. So then as you are wanting to deconstruct the downloadable offer, you want to create a relevant content link to that content pillar page that you have, and then create a conversion path. So What that means is, what do we take from somebody who's starting from scratch all the way to actually answering the question. So next. Oops. So there's a free tool that HubSpot offers. It's HubSpot Content Strategy Tool. And if you'd like to take a look at this, I'd be more than happy to share some examples with it. But it helps you visualize and architect topic clusters. And there's a number of different tools you can use in order to do this, but a lot of it's very helpful. So once you've actually created your subtopic content, you can assemble it into downloadable content and offer it in just a different way. And then you can repurpose your content by adjusting and expanding the message into even like a chapter format. And you might even get to the point where you can actually publish a real honest to goodness book. So if you're interested in how to get started with ebooks or how to create some content frameworks, the easiest way that I've found is HubSpot has a great offer which is on screen there at offers.hubspot.com/ebook templates. And they've got a good couple hundred different version templates to start with. And all you really need to do is provide the content and the content that's relevant for you. So next, you want to actually create a custom cover. And you want that to be as specific as possible. So if you're talking to customer service professionals, which is kind of what CX stands for, is be specific on what exactly this is going to offer. Because you really can judge a book by its cover if it looks bad and doesn't look interesting anymore. So make sure that the cover matches what the offer is. And statistically speaking, 79% of people said that a cover does matter in the decision-making process. Isn't that a wild statistic? With the idea that you used to have of people, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. 79% of people says a cover matters. That's just crazy. So here's what a content piece looks like. So we've got our topic, we got our main topic, and we add some subtopics to it. We want to make sure that we connect it back and to create a topic cluster. Now, what we really want to do is, if we do this a second time, we've got even more subtopics and even more subclusters. And then we do it on a second topic and second subtopic clusters and a third and a fourth and a fifth, and all of a sudden we've got a tremendous amount of content based exclusively on the simple idea of what are the things that we really want to know, and what do we really want people to know, and how do we share it with them in an exhaustive way. As you can see on the screen there, I probably have 60 different topic representations on screen there. 60, which is an astonishing amount of content. It really should be an exhaustive list of anything that a potential lead coming to your business might want to see. So if you do this, then as we reverse engineer back to the original, which is search engine optimization, you're going to have a monster amount of contextual information to provide to search engines, which means that your website should flourish, your search rankings should flourish, and then if you ask people to do the real thing, a real honest to goodness actual thing, which is to contact you or do something with you, then boom, all of a sudden you're really cooking with gas. So again, in summary, the goal, you really want to be as useful to your audience as possible. I know that seems like a simple and easy goal, but it really isn't. You absolutely need to do that. So for those of you who have been here since the beginning, you've been politely listening to my son tell jokes and listening to me. I am going to be providing you with an ebook of our own to show you how this actually works. So it's the Beginner's Guide to Inbound Marketing. It is something that you will get a link to later today as a thank you for participating. So next month's webinar, we're going to be talking about, we're continuing our movie theme. You've Got Mail. So this month was Say Anything. Next month it's You've Got Mail. We're going to talk about how to develop an inbound email strategy. So we want you to help you get some warm fuzzies anytime somebody gives you an email, and give you some content strategies that you can utilize via email to make sure that a lot of the work that you need to do is being done for you. Easiest way to do that is BizzyWeb.com/events. My, oh my, oh my, wouldn't it be great if I could actually go to the office and do it at the office? Here's hoping, fingers crossed. So thanks everybody for joining. Here's my picture. Here is my contact information. If you'd like to ask me questions or compliment me on my son's comedy, feel free and do so. But more importantly, if you need help, we're really in a mindset right now, given the current state of things, that anything we can do to actually just genuinely help somebody, that's what we're all in on right now. So anything I can help you with, I'd absolutely love the opportunity to. No selling, no hard tactics or anything like that. Let's just see what we can do to help you out. If you are interested in this, please contact me afterwards. I'd be more than happy to give you the link and give you the deck as well. So thanks everybody for joining us. I will stick around for a minute or so, but if there is anything that we can do to be of service, please let us know, and we'll see you next month. Yes, Jennifer. The ebook will be sent to us. Everybody should get it. So if you've signed up, and I think Interfaith Outreach is a client of ours, so you should get it. And if not, we'll definitely get it to you. Thank you, Don. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate you telling my son a joke. He appreciated that as well. Melanie, thank you for joining as well. We'll see you guys next time.